Debbie, as we're back for more Oscar prediction slugfest, there's so many people talking about what's going to get nominated at the Oscars, but really all you need to worry about is this slugfest. This is where it's all at. I'm with Tony Ruiz, Charlie Bright, I'm Rob Licuria. We're the 18. And frankly, we have lots of exciting things to talk about. We're going to start off with talking about those, on the cusp contenders, the dark horses, the surprises that we're rooting for, that we know deep down it's going to be a stretch, but we're really hoping that it could happen. And hey, stranger things have happened in the past, right? We know that we've all woken up to Oscar nominations morning and we've been thrilled with those really exciting nominations that no one was even expecting. So let's not be too down on ourselves. Let's actually hope for the best. So look, I want to go straight to you first, Tony. I'm just so excited to hear what you have to say. As usual, go for it.
Okay, so I've done a couple of, my number one film of the year was RRR. And for a long time, I have been on this kind of tirade that SS Rajamouli needs to be nominated. And I think it's still possible. It is not unlike the Oscars to throw in a director of a popular foreign language film. And up until a couple of days ago, I had him still getting in because there's been a lot of buzz. That film is probably going to win Best Song. And everybody who has seen it really, really loves it. I think it was Jason Blum who declared that it deserves to win Best Picture. But then All Quiet on the Western Front happened and completely steamrolled into BAFTA in a way that even I didn't see coming. And that's All Quiet's my number 4 film of the year, I think. And so I took Rajamouli out and I put Berger in. The other big one that that I just made is that I took Michelle Williams out of Best Actress. So yeah, am I crazy?
That's interesting. Charlie, before you go on, I just want to say that when Fabelmans came out, do you recall, both of you, how everyone was very excited about, oh, this could be it for Michelle Williams. This is the one. This could actually get her that trophy that's so far eluded her throughout her career to date. And now I don't feel like many of us are feeling that way at all. I also took her out. So yeah, go for it, Charlie. What do you think about that? And then you give us one of your on the cusps.
Yeah, so it's weird because it's kind of feeling like, just in terms of like how this momentum has played out, it's kind of felt like last year with Kristen Stewart for Spencer. But then again, she ended up getting in after missing almost everywhere. But it does feel like, the passion for Fabelmans is not what we thought it was, even though the film has been very well received. And it's still my number 1 in picture and directing. But I feel like we have seen with both, and the person who I put her in her place is someone who has gotten in at Globe, SAG, and BAFTA, and that's Ana de Armas. I've put her in for Blonde. Because say what you will about the movie, the performance has been widely praised, and I think she's really got that in there. When it comes to the surprises, I also have Berger getting in for directing, but strangely I don't have All Quiet in my picture lineup right now. I have 2 directing nominations that don't have picture nominations in mind. The other one is Gina Prince Bythewood for The Woman King. And because the thing is that my big surprise in that is that I don't have the Daniels in for directing Everything Everywhere All at Once. For some reason, I feel like that might be the big surprise, like Denis missing last year for Dune. And I feel sometimes like I try to get I get too caught up in trying to figure out what those surprises will be and trying to, put in predictions that I think will be that surprise. But and I may have to wiggle my directing lineup a bit, but I don't have them in right now. And on it, and I'm not sure whether I'm being reckless or if I'm being or if this is smart strategy or both.
Yeah,
that's what I'm asking you guys.
I think you are usually quite you're extremely reckless as a person, so just from
I did drive you around everywhere.
You did, and trust me, that was
you put your children in my hands.
I know that was
terrifying,
people, terrifying,
big mistake, huge.
But anyway, we survived. I think you're both onto something, because look, you know what? First of all, I've had RRR. By the way, it's so hard to say that. I feel like a pirate. I've had that in number 10 for a while in my best picture lineup. I'm probably taking it out. I don't know what I'm going to put in there to replace it at this point in time, but I still feel like there's some hope for RRR, because the people do love it, and it's going to get that song nomination. Let's hope, and hopefully that won't be it. So Tony, you're not completely crazy for still having some hope for that film. Edward Berger, I think, is getting in, so I think you're both correct there too. I have him as well. I was thinking for a while that we might see, I don't know, some really crazy out of the blue director nomination, but I think you're both onto something there. And Ana de Armas, yeah, I've had her in for a little while too, so I think that's happening. I don't think we can ignore her anymore, despite the ridiculous over-the-top hatred for that film, particularly on film Twitter. People just need to take a breath, take a chill pill, relax. Okay, yes, if you don't like the film, that's fine, but it's out there, get over it. But I want to talk about something
I hated that film too.
I know you really hated that film, and that's okay.
I really did.
We all hate films and love films, and that's totally cool, and that's good that you have a strong opinion about something. And you and I, in fact, the three of us have talked about why you don't like Blonde, and I think you have some really, really valid arguments for that too. I didn't share your view, but that's okay. I want to talk about Andrea Riseborough, because I know that it's a real long shot, but what an interesting phenomenon that's happened over the last week and a half. So for people who aren't aware, if you're not in this bubble that we operate in, so suddenly we started hearing a lot of noise about certain actors and artists and directors and so forth championing this performance for Andrea Riseborough in To Leslie, a film, a very tiny micro budget indie film that very few people have seen. And it became a bit of an internet meme. People were kind of thinking that, is this all just hype? Because a lot of actors tweeted a very similar tweet. It was almost word for word, and people thought, oh, this doesn't sound right. Maybe it's a paid social media type arrangement. But then it really started becoming apparent that it's not. And there's a lot of passion, particularly for really interesting people like Frances Fisher and Edward Norton. Kate Blanchett mentioned her during her speech at the Critics' Choice. Kate Winslet said, it's one of the best performances that she's ever seen. Really hyperbolic response to the film. So I thought, oh, well, I'm gonna have to see it. And I felt like if I had that reaction, then surely there'd be at least a few 100 people or so in the Academy, in the actors branch, who probably had the same reaction, particularly because a lot of people have worked with Andrea Riseborough. She's been around for ages. She's such a good actor, but never really had her due. And by the way, she did get nominated at the Indie Spirits for To Leslie. So it's not like as if she's had no notice. Anyway, long story short, I saw the film, completely blown away, totally share the view that it's just one of the best performances I've ever seen. It's unbelievable, so immersive. I haven't been able to get out of my head. I put her in 5th spot in my predictions, and I originally took out Daniel Deadwyler and Viola Davis. That was a mistake. I got a lot of criticism online for that, and then I realized that that's probably not happening. Daniel Deadwyler has done very well for herself. She's really gotten in pretty much everywhere except for the Globes, and honestly, who cares? So I've put her back in and I've taken out Michelle Williams. What do you guys think? I know it's a long shot, but can you imagine if that happened? There's no budget for this film's PR at all. And the distributor really stuffed it up. I was going to curse. You know what I will? They really fucked it up. And yet, what if 200 odd people in the Academy decide to put her in their first place and then she actually gets nominated? I mean, that would just be incredible.
Yeah, I don't think we would. I don't think we. I can't remember. There was someone else. There was, and I can't remember. And I know so many people are like shouting it at their screens right now. There was someone in the '80s who I believe financed her own campaign for lead actress.
Sally Kirkland.
That's it. That's right.
Jenna Rollins, maybe. Oh, yeah, definitely Sally Kirkland. Yeah,
Sally Kirkland for Anna.
Yeah, who basically, and we haven't seen that since, and it's kind of incredible that we haven't seen that since, especially that we have social media now where you can get the word out about things. And what's been, it's not just been that these actors have been, hailing this performance on social media. They've been hosting screenings for it, and that's probably been the key thing for this. It's something that I can't bring myself to do right now. But I do think it would. If that were to happen, that would be the ultimate stealth campaign that I've ever seen. I think it would probably be the most surprising since we saw the results of what Sony Pictures Classics did with The Father 2 years ago, when they really targeted the specific branches of the Academy that they knew would respond to certain aspects of it, not just actors, directors, writers, but also the production design branch and also the editing branch, and seeing that film get in there as well. So I think that this would be one of the craziest, but I think pleasantly surprising things if we were to see it happen.
What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm not brave enough to do it. I think that if she had gotten in to just one other thing, like maybe BAFTA, then I would probably be taking it more seriously. Because it's always hard to tell in these situations, how much of this is how much of it is real, a real groundswell of support, and how much of it is just magnified by social media. It is. Let's not mince words here. It deserves to be here. It deserves to be nominated. The question is, have enough people seen it, and have enough people seen it? Is that groundswell of support enough to knock off a Detweiler or a Viola Davis?
It's kind of giving me flashbacks to last year's Best Actress race, when in that lead up, when the anonymous ballots were being printed, and so many of the anonymous ballots had Penelope Cruz as their choice for the overwhelming number of them had Penelope Cruz as their choice for Best Actress. And and even though yes, that you have these people that are voting for it, is that representative of the couple thousand members of the acting branch of the Academy, because I know that's the largest one. So I mean, it's I can't bring myself to do it, but man, if that were to happen, that's going to be one for the record books.
Absolutely. It's like, even when Penelope Cruz got nominated, I was a little surprised because she didn't really do very well. But of course, she's obviously a more known quantity, and she's an Oscar winner already, and she's in a film that was highly, very, very much liked and was going to do well, particularly in original score. So look, Andrea Riseborough, I don't know, this could be a very small contingent of people who really love your performance, and it doesn't go further than this, but at least, even if you're not nominated, and I guess that's probably, if you're putting your money down, it's probably more likely that she probably wouldn't be nominated. It's really good for her. I think that she's had all this recognition, and hopefully the Academy might make it up to her one day when she gives the next great performance, which I'm assuming will happen very soon, because everything she does is so brilliant. So anyway, I've kept her in 5 for now. I feel like I might as well just, hold on to that hope, because it would be such a great story for all of us just to see that not all nominees have to be backed by huge campaigns worth millions and millions of dollars. It really needs to go back to that grassroots level, and that's just so interesting to me. Okay, we better move on. Look, here's another thing I wanted to ask you guys, because sometimes I think the cardinal sin for all of us who like to predict these things and talk about awards is that we our biases sometimes show, and it's hard for us not to care about films and then want to like put them into our predictions because we care about them so much. And I know that you both sometimes do that, and you probably check yourselves at the end. I do it all the time, and it's something that I have to constantly work on. Here's a great example.
I'm the exact opposite. If there's something that I truly love, I am always very hesitant to predict it, especially if it's like on the cusp or something. I'm always usually very hesitant to go in that direction because I always feel like I'm jinxing it for some reason. Like I'm the most unlucky charm in the world.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wish I was more like that, because I'm just more like, I'm gonna predict it here and here because I think it deserves it, and it will give it some really good, like, if anyone might be looking at our predictions on Gold Derby, they might think, oh, what's that film, and they'll go and see it, and then maybe I'll have that last minute kind of contemplation and realize that I've got to take it out. So Triangle of Sadness is a film that I really love. Okay, and I've seen it twice, and it's my number 3 film of the year, or 4, and so I've got it in Best Picture in my 9th place. I've got Dolly De Leon getting nominated. I'm starting to feel very worried about her chances at the moment because that category is so competitive, and I've got it in Screenplay. I think it should be nominated across the board. It's such a good film. Do either of you have that film nominated anywhere?
Today in my supporting actress prediction, I put in Dolly De Leon.
And if it makes you feel any better, if it makes you feel better, Triangle of Sadness is a film I did not like, and I have it in picture, and I have Dolly De Leon in supporting actress.
Great. Okay, so I mean, it's not like I'm being silly about this. I mean, I feel like people like it.
And she's also someone, I mean, she's like very much like Yoon Jun-yoon a couple of years ago. She is a very popular, respected actress from the Philippines. So and with the more international support of the Academy, that could give her that extra boost of people a segment of actors that are more familiar with her that want to recognize her.
Yeah.
Or well, also that Triangle of Sadness probably plays better with that international crowd more than just a solid American crowd.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's something we have to constantly remember, that the Oscar voting membership is it's quite different to all the others, and it is more international. Isn't it wonderful that there are so many actors of Asian descent who are now just part of the conversation? Because I remember 5, maybe 10 years ago, we never saw. It was very rare to have Asian actors in the running, and when we talked about diversity, it was really just talking about making sure that it wasn't so white, and that we saw some Black performers. I'm so excited that we are seeing a more international mix, and we're also seeing actors of Asian descent, Latinos, Black actors, and of course people from other countries, to mix it up a bit. I love that. Ana de Armas. Sorry.
It kind of reminds me of one of the crazy things that happened, like with the Slumdog Millionaire year. Here's this movie that takes place in India, and it won 8 Oscars, and almost every one of those people who won was white, with the exception of A.R. Rahman, Gulzar, who co-wrote Jai Ho, and one of the sound mixers, I believe. So it's interesting that we have like this honest representation, and that we have a fact that you have something like a couple of years ago when we had Black Panther in there, Ruthie Carter and Hannah Beachler winning Oscars as well in their respective categories and making history in those categories. It's a real breath of fresh air.
It really is. And like to have Taika Waititi representing people of Indigenous descent doesn't happen very often. So look, that's cool. Isn't it interesting, Tony, that in Indian cinema does not really get a look in at the Oscars as much as it should. Thinking about RRR, which is a Tollywood film, not a Bollywood film. And it's yeah, and then of course, as Charlie mentions, Slumdog Millionaire wins all these Oscars, and it really wasn't an Indian film at all. So I find that
It
really
was a colonizer film. It was a colonizer.
How nice and historically accurate.
Yeah.
I actually want to, I want to, going back to Triangle of Sadness, because I have a dilemma, and I think you two would appreciate this dilemma, because in original screenplay, I was tempted to put Triangle of Sadness in there. But what stopped me is that I replaced it with After Sun. Because I feel like, do we all have Paul Mescal getting into Best Actor?
Yes.
I took out Jeremy Pope. I put in Paul Mescal today.
It has to happen. I hope so. He's so wonderful in that film.
I feel like they want to give Charlotte Wells something. And I feel like I don't think they're going to put her in director. If they did, it would be brilliant.
I think she's on that bubble.
I think she's in that. I think
yeah.
But I think this is a safer place for her. So I took out Triangle of Sadness and Screenplay, and I put After Sun in.
Yeah, I think that's a good move, because with the original screenplay, it feels like there are four really solid. Four of the five slots are really solid. Banshees, Everything Everywhere, Tar, and Fabelmans. Because even though Fabelmans did not do well at BAFTA, I believe its only nomination was original screenplay.
What a shock.
So, I mean, it feels like those four are relatively safe. And then you have that fifth slot. What are you going to do with that? And I feel like After Sun is that kind of, that writer-director slot. But I still feel like Ruben Östlund very competitive in there, but I do give the edge to After Sun in that.
Well, I'm actually going to take out Fabelmans just for shits and giggles, because I think Triangle of Sadness and After Sun can maybe do it as well, and that could be one of the surprises that we're all shocked about when the nominations are announced. But it's a really good call. And then thinking about adapted screenplay, it just reminded me that Women Talking, that could be one of the only nominations that film gets. Again, if you look 2 months ago, I'm sure most of us had Women Talking getting a bunch of nominations, including Sarah Polley, so that we would see some women represented in director. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all about merit. We don't have to have everybody represented in Best Director and whatever, but it would be nice. Like, it would be great, and it's absolutely deserving. And Sarah Polley, she did such a great job with Women Talking, and the fact that film's just completely disappeared. What happened?
I don't know. I because I was like, so first of all, like, I'm not the biggest. I'm not as familiar with Sarah Polley's filmography. I didn't see the documentary that she did, Stories We Tell, which I've heard is fantastic. And Away From Her did not connect with me the way that I know it did for a lot of people. And so I wasn't apprehensive, but I was kind of guarded when I went and I saw this movie. And when I saw it, I was completely blown away by it. I thought it was incredible. And so I don't know what's happening here. I mean, the supporting actress race alone, it feels like they just didn't, like everyone just has their own opinion of which performance they think is the best. Yes, the more showy ones are Claire Foy and Jessie Buckley, but you have a good chunk of people that are like Judith Ivey. You have another chunk of people that are like Sheila McCarthy is so incredible in that movie. And you probably have some people that, even though they're campaigning Rooney Mara in lead, we're probably putting her in there anyway, probably putting her in supporting anyway. And, it's like, it couldn't even get any of them on the long list at BAFTA. The only person from that cast was Ben Whishaw. So, I guess it's just maybe the material, like people just are just like not wanting to stay away from the material possibly, or they're just not responding to it, which I find kind of weird because I thought it was so good. Did
they maybe hold it too long? I feel like,
it hasn't really gotten a proper release.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem. I mean, a lot of us got our screeners for it, a month ago at least. I think it might have gone out too late, but the ironic thing is that as of right now, I've got it in first in adapted screenplay. I might switch it for All Quiet on the Western Front because I don't know what else to put in there.
Yeah, good. I currently have Glass Onion at #1, but that category is fluid. It's all over the place. And in fact, when you're talking about films not being released strategically, I think Living also suffers from that issue. And yet that seems to be doing okay on the awards circuit. So there's something going on with him.
I'm worried for Bill Nye, though.
I'm worried. I feel like
I'm actually not.
Pretty good.
I'm actually not. I feel pretty good about that.
That category.
I think it's because I think it's because I'm such a fan of Bill Nye. Again, this is my mindset when it comes to things that I really respond to, because I like Bill Nye as an actor so much, and I think his performance is incredible in Living. I'm still like very. He could be one of those people, who he gets in everywhere, but then misses on Oscar morning. I really hope that doesn't happen. But dear God, I'm going to be biting my nails until they get to that part of the alphabet.
I hope it happens. Like,
ironically, I'm in a slightly different position because I actually feel like Best Actor is kind of got the fewest number of possible surprises.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there are three that are absolutely sure things. Fraser, Farrell, and Butler. That's going to happen. I feel like Bill Nye's done well enough throughout the season that he's going to get in. And then that fifth slot has always been the tricky one for me. Is it going to be, Jeremy Pope, who, I loved The Inspection. My heart broke during that movie. So I was going back and forth between Mescal and Pope for the longest time. What ultimately led me to put Mescal in was that I think that Aftersun has a good shot in adapted screenplay. So I think original screenplay. Thank you. So that's why I ended up with Mescal.
Here's the thing, though. If All Quiet on the Western Front is doing as well as we think it has based on its performance at BAFTA today, I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere about a German World War I movie taking over British awards. Find it in there. It's somewhere in there.
I just haven't pinpointed it yet.
I just haven't formed it yet. But if it's and the way that it did with the Oscar shortlists when those were released at the end of December, Felix Kammerer could be. Could be someone to get in there. I was surprised. I was actually surprised he didn't make it into BAFTA today.
And then Albert Schuch, I can't say his last name because I haven't checked it out yet, but he got in.
And he got it, and that's why I thought he was. That's what made it even more surprising for me. So I think that that could be the big surprise is Kammerer getting in that fifth slot.
I'd love that. Okay. Can we talk about Best Supporting Actor, because that's giving me some heartburn.
Me too.
So okay, I just don't think it's that competitive. There's contenders, but there's just nothing that's like, apart from Keiho Kwan, obviously, I think who seems, I hate using this term because it makes us sound like douchebags, but he seems locked now for the win even. But anything can happen, and there's no guarantees. Yeah,
I think the better word is solid.
He's solid.
He seems the most solid.
Because I hate when people tell me that there are guarantees in life. There are no guarantees. As you know. So okay, Brendan Gleeson and Barry Keoghan are in, hopefully. And especially for Barry Keoghan, because he broke my cold black heart in that film.
Oh, he broke all of our hearts.
Yeah. So then you got two slots. I have two slots there where I'm just like mixing it up. I don't know what to do. At the moment, I've got Paul Dano. And I'm probably going to end up taking him out because I just don't feel there's a lot of passion there. And I've got Tom Hanks because I thought he was actually really good in Elvis. And I'm in the minority, but I just feel like that is not something that he's out of the question. What do you both have and why?
So it's interesting. I probably would. I was predicting Tom Hanks to get in at SAG. And when he did it, and also when Elvis did not get into ensemble, which really surprised me. I can't bring myself to do that. But I mean, that would be something if, you know, Hanks is this person who's like the Judi Dench of this year. You know, because they're almost dead ringers for each other. I do have Paul Dano in there, which is I still can't believe, like, I'm looking at Paul Dano and I'm like, I've been watching him for over 20 years now. You know, it's so crazy. And I don't mean that in a stalkerish way, okay? Don't take me out of context on that. There's plenty of other things to do that on.
I do take it that way.
I saw the first film I ever saw him in was a movie called L.I.E. It's an incredible movie it's him and Brian Cox, and him and Brian Cox are toe to toe with each other. They are. This is when I knew. I was like, holy crap, this kid is going to be insanely talented. And I still remember him, you know, playing this, you know, 16-year-old kid.
And I'm just like, he's so good in the Batman, but that I digress. Go on.
But yeah, and he's been proving himself. I mean, we thought, quite a few of us thought he was going to get nominated for Love and Mercy several years ago. And you know, he goes toe to toe with Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood. This is an overdue first nomination. It's very much like Colin Farrell, you know, like very overdue first nomination. But then there's that. So I feel pretty good about Paul Dano. Then there's that fifth slot, and based on what I'm looking at. Well, based on what I'm looking at, I got Eddie Redmayne in for The Good Nurse.
And that's what a lot of other awards groups have done, and that's fine.
But BAFTA did it today. SAG did it. Did BAFTA do it?
Yeah.
BAFTA did it.
Yeah, and SAG did it too, right?
So it's happening.
Yeah. So why? They're your two, you know, overlapping organizations with members of the Academy.
What do you do?
I might put Redmayne in, but right now I have Brian Tyree Henry.
That would be so cool.
It'd be great.
To me, that seems like one of those performances that sneaks in, never gets anywhere else, never shows up anywhere, but shows up in just enough places to keep it in people's minds. Yeah. And he's the type of actor who is really beloved, but beloved in a way that wouldn't necessarily be reflected in something like SAG, which is a much larger organization, but could have that kind of passionate support within the actors branch of the Academy. So I'm putting him in there for now. And I actually might stay there.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, he's at this point in his career right now because he's already not only an Emmy nominee, he's been a Tony nominee as well. So, you know, he is someone who has this recognition and kind of like he's like that actor's actor choice, you know.
Yeah. What a beautiful, vulnerable, heartbreaking performance. I wasn't expecting it. The only thing that I have against it at the moment is that Causeway from Apple Films didn't really, it just seemed like there wasn't a lot of passion behind the film itself. But you're right, he's definitely in the mix. That's something I'm going to think about. I'm going to be really thinking hard about Best Supporting Actor for quite some time until the nominations come out, because I just don't know what's happening there. Supporting Actress seems like it's a bit more solid, although it is way more competitive because, I mean, God help me, if Angela Bassett does not make it in, that would be incredibly stupid of the Academy. I'm sure that's not going to happen. I'm actually more worried about Jamie Lee Curtis. I feel like it's time to give her that recognition that she so deserves. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to be very, very disappointed. Do you both have Jamie Lee getting in?
Yes.
Yeah, this is another situation where I've had the same four for most of the time, and it's the fifth. That seems to be the theme for me, is that I feel really good about four, and then it's the fifth that kills me. But yeah, I have, you know, Bassett and Hong Chow and Carrie Condon and Jamie Lee Curtis, and I was going back and forth between Stephanie Sue and Dolly De Leon, and I just feel like Dolly De Leon has that again, that international, scene stealing kind of performance that that would put her in. But that fifth slot is giving a lot of fifth slots are giving me agita.
I love it when you use that term. Who else is in the mix in supporting actress that we might be missing?
So definitely Stephanie Shu. Janelle Monáe has Janelle Monáe has done well with critics groups. Unfortunately, it hasn't translated with SAG and BAFTA. And I'm worried about Glass Onion's chances in Best Picture now.
Same.
And it's so weird that because the fact that it couldn't even get into the ensemble category at SAG, and that is such a fantastic ensemble.
What a shock.
Yeah. Also, let's not forget, if Tar does well, Nina Hoss could be on the table for that as well.
Good point.
She's actually the one that if I take out Dolly De Leon, I'm putting in Nina Hoss. That's the one. That's the switch that I am struggling with, because I could see it going either way.
Another international choice. That's a good call. Have either of you seen A Man Called Otto yet?
I've not yet.
Okay.
I have not.
Mariana Trevino is a Mexican actress, and she is unbelievable in that film. And unfortunately, that film just came out too late with a lot of voters. I know that for a fact, and just obviously didn't blow people's socks off. She is so good. When you finally see that film, let me know what you think of her performance. I wish she was in the mix. I really do. Okay.
Can I ask? I want to ask a quick question, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but what do you think about the potential that some people are floating around out there that the actors branch will fill that fifth slot with Michelle Williams?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't buy it. I really don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't buy it because I thought back, and I feel like every time there's been a situation like that, obviously the most famous being Kate Winslet, being the most famous and recent example, is the Academy will sometimes bump somebody up from supporting to lead. I can't think. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Lakeith.
Lakeith Stanfield.
Lakeith. That was the one, and that's the thing that makes me. The thing about that though is that the thing about Lakeith was that he wasn't showing up anywhere in the lead acting categories, and then all of a sudden showed up as supporting actor. The thing with Kate to remember is that she was winning those supporting actress prizes. She wanted the Globe, she wanted SAG, she was winning those prizes. And then the Oscars bumped her up to lead, and she subsequently won there. Michelle Williams has not been getting in some of these places, and she hasn't. And of course, if you're not getting in, you're not winning, and that is that is the biggest obstacle for me in getting in thinking that might happen.
Yeah, to me it seems like more of an internet thing than an actual likelihood. I think it's possible, but I think it's highly unlikely.
I think we're all trying to find or preempt those shocking omissions and inclusions that no one saw coming. We're always trying to do it, and but that's the whole point. I don't think whatever happens on nominations morning, none of us are going to see it coming, and it's going to be so cool. It's so exciting, whatever it may be. Someone missing, like I remember last year. Yes, of course. This is my bias is showing Katrina Balfe missing out in supporting actress. I would have put money down that wasn't going to happen. That's a real solid lock guarantee, and it didn't happen. And that's because I think voters didn't know where to put her and put her in one or the other, and she missed out. And that could happen to Michelle Williams again.
They may not have known how to spell her name.
It's so true. But I just thought of all the people to make it in, it would have been her, and that didn't. I was so disappointed. And yet, this is what happens at the Oscars. It's always going to surprise us. Are there any other on the cusp nominees that you want to talk about? Because I just want to quickly raise it in makeup and hairstyling. I know it's a category that a lot of people don't think about, but I really want to see I just don't think it needs to be 5 nominees that are just heavily prosthetic makeup. I just would like to see something a bit more subtle and something that's more kind of directed towards the narrative of the film. That's why I want to see Blonde in there, and I want to see Emancipation in there. The work on those 2 films is just completely breathtaking, and you know, they're 2 films that have had a lot of criticism. Blonde in particular, people really despise that film. I think on the artistic side, you shouldn't be able to fault the cinematography and the makeup and of course Ana de Armas. And in Emancipation, a lot of people probably didn't even want to see it because of Will Smith and the slap heard around the world. But it's a great film. Robert Richardson's cinematography is incredible. Charmaine Binois is beautiful in that film, and of course the makeup is incredible. So that's my stumping. Do you guys have any stump speeches you want to make?
So I took out Avatar from Best Sound, and I put in its place Moon Age Daydream, the David Bowie documentary.
Oh my God.
There has been a lot of emphasis in the campaign about the sound work on that film, and I have a feeling that might resonate with the sound engineers and the re-recording mixers that are voting on this. So that's probably my biggest gamble in the below the line categories.
When you saw that in the short list, were you like, I was just like, yes,
yeah,
paying attention.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I know you both have such a passion for documentary features. I know you do, and shorts, but isn't it just absolutely stunning when you see a documentary feature make it in another category apart from the documentary category? So it happens in song, it happens sometimes, I guess, in
editing. It happened for Hoop
editing.
Dreams.
Yeah, it happened for Hoop Dreams all those years ago. Documentaries should go through editing more often.
And we saw Welcome to Chechnya make it to the visual effects.
And I even had it. I thought it was going to get nominated. Welcome to Chechnya.
I did as well.
I want Moon Age Daydream to happen so bad. I really do. So that's a great choice. What about you, Tony?
You know, the funny thing is I'm not really going out on any limbs. You know, my one big limb was SS Rajamouli before I switched to Burger.
Yeah.
And I feel kind of like the biggest swing I've taken. I'm going through my stuff right now and see what I've really.
You're just so boring, honestly. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I did put Banshees in cinematography.
Oh, great. Yeah, I think that you're onto something there. I have that in there as well. I think the cinematography is incredible. I think that film's
I think the cinematography is so important to that film. I feel like that film doesn't work without some of those shots.
Yeah, in fact, Banshee should make it in costume design, production design. It should make it across the board. It's so good. Well, okay, I've got a couple more for you. In fact, I have 3. In song, I think Good Afternoon from Spirited should make it in.
Oh,
great song.
That's my one.
Good.
I just pulled it up. Yeah, I do have it in.
It's such a great song. Love the 5 songwriters on that. And also Rita Wilson's song from A Man Called Otto. She has made it into the shortlist before. What a great songwriter. Obviously, people know her from her work in, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And, she's just such a great actor. Of course, she's married to Tom Hanks. And she's a really, really talented songwriter and performer. I want to see her there as well. And Glass Onion, I was late to the party on that film. I watched it once. I thought it was okay. I watched it again. I just couldn't believe how amazing that film is. And I want to see it in costume design. I just think the costumes.
I do too.
Incredible.
I want to see it in production design.
Same.
I think I have it in both.
Do you?
I have it in
production.
It's my number 5 in production design.
Okay.
I don't have it in costume design though.
Yeah, I have it the other way around. I have it in costume, but not production design's tough for me. There's a lot of really good work there
I have it in both production design and costumes, because I think Babylon is going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
I think Babylon is going to drop off a cliff.
It's just so divisive. I really, really liked that film, but I know a lot of people who really didn't like it. To wrap up, I just want to talk about Best Picture. We have 10 slots. I'm assuming that we all have Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Banshees, Elvis, Tar, Avatar, yes.
Yep.
Done.
Pulling it up.
So I think they're the top 7.
And Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah. So that's 7, right? We then have 3 more slots, okay? And at the moment, I want to hear what you guys have to say, and then we'll talk about what else could be in there. I took out Babylon. I've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Triangle of Sadness. I currently have RRR, but I'm really wavering on that, and I'm thinking in that final slot, I'm probably going to put something in like After Sun, or I really don't know yet. What do you have in the last 3 slots, guys? Charlie, you go first.
So I have right now in those last 3 slots, I have Glass Onion, Women Talking, and The Whale.
Wow. Okay.
The Whale getting in at PGA, and it's been performing pretty well at industry stuff. Like we saw today, it didn't get in Best Film at BAFTA, but it still got 4 BAFTA nominations today, including Adapted Screenplay over Women Talking, which really surprised me. And Women Talking has been on this bubble. I was prepared to take it out because I was thinking it was going to miss SAG. It got in at SAG. It's so right there. And Glass Onion, I feel like if there's one that I'm more likely than the others to take out, would be Glass Onion. I'd probably put in All Quiet on the Western Front in there.
Yeah. What about you, Tony?
Yeah, my last 3 are The Whale, Avatar, and Triangle of Sadness.
Okay, so then what do you have? What else do you have? Because Avatar, I thought we all had in, so that's 7.
So my top 7 is Everything Everywhere, Banshees, Tar, Fabelmans, Elvis, Top Gun, All Quiet, The Whale, Avatar, and Triangle.
Okay, so All Quiet's that other one.
Yeah. All right. Well, what else is there? Like She Said didn't really seem to set anyone on fire.
I think She Said's gonna just plop out.
Yeah. I don't know. Like the Batman is not going to be taken seriously. Unfortunately, to me, that was my number 2 film of the year. Bardo, loved that movie, but I just don't think it's going to hit. It's probably going to get maybe 1 or 2 if it's lucky.
I think The Woman King could potentially.
Yes,
I mean, The Woman King did well at BAFTA.
And don't you have Charlie, Gina Prince Bythewood in director?
Yes, I have her in director.
Yeah, geez, I would love to see that. She is so good. What a great director. What a great filmmaker. And she's done work for such a long time, such great work. It would be really good to see her there. The Woman King didn't quite work for me personally, but I still see the merit in it being nominated. So that's something that we should be thinking about. The Woman King could actually make it into the top 10. Because once you get to that last 2 slots, I think anything could happen, and that's where the excitement's going to be. Is there anything else that we think? I don't really see anything else really having a shot, unless Babylon finally is able to squeak in at the last second. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, maybe. I don't know.
I don't see anything. Possibly, if the buzz about Park Chan-wook possibly getting into director manifests, then Decision to Leave could also possibly be in that conversation as well.
Geez, that would be good. Geez, that movie, it should be getting more recognition. Park Hae-il and Tung Wei should be in the acting categories.
It should be recognized for its cinematography and its editing as well.
Absolutely. That cinematography just completely blew my socks off.
Gorgeous.
Well, there you go. I think unless you guys have any final thoughts, I think we've covered what we wanted to cover today. Thanks everyone for joining us. There's so much happening at Gold Derby in the next few weeks. Obviously, this is where it's all happening on Oscar nominations morning. We'll have lots of reaction videos, including from yours truly, us. And so make sure you put your predictions in. Don't forget, keep them updated. And of course, we will be back once the Oscar nominations are announced to talk about all the things that we loved and hated. And of course, bitch and moan and complain like we do, because that's pretty much what we do best.